everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerful Women Rising podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow, and I am definitely not living the dream. I wish that you guys could see the difference between behind the scenes and what is actually happening, because I know that it's not just me. But it's so easy to listen to other people's podcasts, look at other people's YouTube channels, look at their social media and be like, wow, she does such a good job. She's got it all together. She's so confident. Whatever, right? Okay, what you can't see is before I hit record, the 25 other times I have hit record. It is just a freaking cluster over here. Normally I can manage. We have 2 dogs. We have 3 cats of our own. We have a 19-year-old foster cat who is incredibly needy today, and we have 5 foster kittens. It's a lot, and I'm okay. But I also got a new computer, and so I had to download all my software from my old computer onto this computer, and none of the settings saved. So I've spent the last 45 minutes Googling how to even use this software that I use to record the podcast, because I couldn't figure out why I was recording and the thing wouldn't work and the thing wouldn't start. It was because I had all these settings set on my old computer, but they're not set now. Well, they are now, but they weren't 45 minutes ago. And in the midst of that, everybody wants to eat. Everybody wants to get pet. Everybody wants to pee on the floor. I don't know what's going on half the time. So here we are. This is life. And let's do the damn thing. Today, we're talking about building a supportive business network. It sounds like a boring topic, but I'm going to try not to make it boring. I mean, how could anything be boring over in this house? Honestly, it's a freaking circus. But building a supportive business network really is one of the most important things that you can do for your business. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, especially when you're newer in business and you're like, no, I need a website. I need to do a funnel. I need a lead magnet. I need all the things, right? The answer is no, not right. All of those things will come later. But what you need right now is to be out there meeting people, talking to people, creating genuine connections, and building your network. This is equally important if you've been in business for a while. Even if you are quote unquote successful, whatever your definition of that is, if you're bringing in consistent income, whatever stage of business you are at, building a supportive business network never stops being important. And I want to talk a little bit about why, first of all, and in particular, why business relationships are so important for entrepreneurs, specifically female entrepreneurs. First of all, business relationships are what give you the opportunity to network, to meet new people, to share ideas, to get different perspectives, and to find new opportunities, right? Most of the things that I have found in terms of PR, like guesting on podcasts, writing guest blogs, things like that, where I've been able to partner with people to increase my credibility and my visibility. All of that has come from business relationships in one way or another. Same with resources. A lot of times we need resources that we don't have access to. Maybe it is expertise that we don't have, right? Like the ability to use our own podcast software correctly. And so if there is someone in our network who we know has that expertise, we can go to them and they can help us in 5 seconds instead of us trying to figure it out for 45 minutes. Business relationships help you gain access to resources that you wouldn't have otherwise, but that are essential for your business growth. Your connections also help you with credibility and visibility. When you establish good relationships in your business, you can help build your reputation, your credibility. It is important for you to be able to attract customers who already believe that you know the answer to their problem, that you can help them, that you're not going to screw them over, that you are an honest person, that you have integrity, right? And the best way for them to know that is to hear it from somebody who they already know and trust. If I am going to hire somebody to fix my roof and I have just random yo who came to my door after the hailstorm and was like, hey, I can fix your roof. I'm really good at it and trustworthy. Versus somebody that I've known for a long time who's like, hey, I have this connection to this guy in my networking group. He's a roofer. We had him do our roof last year. He's really great. He's really trustworthy. who do you think I'm going to hire to fix my roof, right? It's going to be the second guy. So that is one of the ways that business relationships are so important. It also is for collaboration. We were just talking about this in the Powerful Women Rising Community Networking call today. There was a member of the community who just recently did a collaboration with a boudoir photographer, a hair and makeup person, and then she is a life coach. And so she coached them on their mindset. They got their hair and makeup done. They did their pictures. And it was just such a cool collaboration that I never even would have thought of. And we were talking about how different people's pictures would have been had they taken that mindset piece out, had they just shown up and been all nervous and insecure and weird doing their pictures. And so finding opportunities for collaboration come about through business relationships that you have built. So there are a lot of reasons that it is important for you to grow your network with solid business relationships. And with that said, there are a lot of different relationships. There are a lot of different roles that people are going to play in your network. So one of the things I talk about a lot with networking is that a lot of times we think that the purpose of networking is to find clients and to make sales. Yes, my dog is barking very loudly in the background, and we're just going to pretend like that is not happening so that I don't lose my shit. Anywho, the most important part of networking is building your network. It is not about finding clients, making sales, making money. It's about finding the people who are going to fill the various roles that you need filled in your network. And there are a lot of different roles in your network. There are the people who are going to refer you, the people who are going to collaborate with you, the people who you never really talk to, but they always like and comment on your social media posts, the people who send their friends to you, the people who you can call when you're having a really bad day and are like, this sucks. I don't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. Why is everything so hard and all my animals are so needy? Okay, maybe that's just me, right? These are the people that you want in your network, and there are a lot of different roles to be filled in your network. So it's not just, hey, I'm looking for power partners. I'm looking for referral partners. I will send people to you. You send people to me. Building a network is so much more than that. Now, what I want to say first is that when it comes to business relationships and building a good network for yourself, it starts with your relationship with yourself. As a business owner, your relationship with yourself is critically important for a lot of reasons, right? It is going to contribute to your motivation. Your self-awareness is going to be a huge contributor to your success. Confidence, your ability to manage stress, your ability to manage your work and life balance, your ability to manage imposter syndrome, all of those things are going to affect your business relationships and the way that you show up to your network. So I'm not going to get into those because I feel like each one of those things is its own podcast episode in and of itself. But I did want to at least acknowledge that your relationship with yourself is the most important starting point when it comes to your relationship with your network. Okay, so you are now convinced that business relationships are important, that you need to build a successful, solid network to support you in your business. How do you go about that? First, you want to be clear on who you want in your network, okay? And there's a lot of different ways to do this. First, you want to think about who are the people who have similar audiences to you, but maybe not the exact same audience. Who are people who do something similar to what you do, or something that complements what you do, but is not the same as what you do? And who are people who have strengths, areas of expertise, zone of genius, whatever you want to call it, that are different than yours? That is where I would start, right? But you also don't want to forget that you are a human. So who do you vibe with? Who starts talking and you're like, ooh, I like her. I want to know her. Who are the people that you're like, yeah, I could see her coming over for dinner on a Friday night, right? It doesn't mean she has to come over for a dinner on a Friday night, but you don't want people in your network that you don't enjoy hanging out with, spending time with, communicating with, okay? So first is being able to identify who these people are. Next is about establishing a connection. There's a lot of different ways to do this, and it's going to depend on whether you are in person, whether you are virtual, whether you are establishing connections through social media or by speaking on stage or on a podcast. There's a lot of different ways to establish connections with people, because there's a lot of different ways to network, right? I always say networking is anything that you do that's creating a connection with another person. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. And the way that you establish a connection is going to be different depending on how you are quote unquote networking. However, you probably know what I'm going to say. When it comes to establishing a connection with people, authenticity is number one. Show up as yourself. Say what you want to say. Be who you really are. Ask the questions that you want to ask. All of these things are so important in connecting with people so that they can see who you really are and if you're someone that they want to connect with also. You've heard me use this analogy before, but it bears repeating. When I was a dating coach, my clients would say, I don't want to put that on my online dating profile because I don't want to turn people off. And a lot of times when we're networking, we have that same thought process. I don't want to say that because I don't want to offend people. I don't want to be too loud. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to be too positive or too energetic or too whatever I am because I don't want that to turn people off. But if that's who you really are, then the people that you want in your network are the people who are turned on by that. So just keep that in mind. And then the third tip that I recommend for starting out these business relationships is finding ways to provide value. Very similar to how you're building relationships with clients, providing value is really critical to building relationships with people in your network and potential referral partners. And when I say provide value, this is a phrase I think gets used a lot, and I want to be really clear on what we're talking about. Providing value doesn't mean that you hear someone is getting married next year and you reach out to them and say, hey, I heard you're getting married next year. I'm a travel agent. I would love to plan your honeymoon for you. That is a sales pitch. That is not providing value. Providing value, if you are a travel agent or a travel advisor in that situation, could be, hey, I have this list of top 10 honeymoon destinations with a little blurb about why each one is so popular. I would love to share it with you if you're interested. Then you share that with them. You don't add them to your email list. You don't pitch them after you've shared it with them. You can follow up and say, hey, did you have a chance to look at that list? What are your thoughts, right? You can keep the conversation going, but you're providing value without expecting something in return. So a good way to think about this is these weird DMs that we get all the time, right? I just got one the other day that was like, hey, Melissa, how are you? I didn't respond because I was like, I know how this goes. But then she said something else. I can't remember exactly what it was that made me think like, okay, maybe she legit wants to have a conversation with me. It was like, we have some mutual friends and, I just like connecting with women who are whatever. And so I'm like, fine, I'll try. So I responded to her. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? She answers the question. The next thing she says is, I recently posted about an amazing opportunity on my Facebook page. Did you see it? And so obviously I know, okay, she didn't really want to connect with me. She's just being a salesy weirdo. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about providing value without expecting something in return. There is no, hey, here's the list of honeymoon destinations. You think I'm being really helpful, but actually there's just a sales pitch coming down the road. Or you think that I'm being really helpful and providing value and just like being considerate, sharing this article or this podcast with you or connecting you with my friend who does this thing. But actually I have an agenda. Like at some point I'm going to pitch you. At some point I'm going to try to get you to buy my thing. That is the difference between providing value without expecting something in return and providing value with an agenda. If you want to create relationships with your network, you want to do it without an agenda. Now, that doesn't mean that you are not doing it intentionally. You are doing it intentionally, right? You're being smart about it. You're thinking it through. You're not just like connecting with everyone and letting everyone in your network and everyone is your friend and everyone is your referral partner. You are being intentional about it, but you are not doing it with an agenda. You are not trying to get them to some end result where they buy your stuff or become your client or refer you or whatever it is, right? So providing value can look like a lot of different things, but what it does is it lets people know that you remember them, that you felt that your conversation with them was important and valuable, that you saw them, that you heard them, and that it mattered enough to you to come back later and provide value. So this is what I mean. If you have a conversation with someone at a networking event, let's say, and they're like, yeah, business is really good, but I'm really struggling with keeping up with social media. It's so hard because I feel like I need to be on all the platforms and blah, 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 right? And so then you come back a couple days later, you send them an email or you message them on LinkedIn or whatever, and you're like, hey, hope everything's going well. It was great to meet you the other day at such and such event. I just heard this podcast that is about deciding which social media platform to focus on and why it's okay to let the rest of them go. And it made me think of our conversation. I thought it might be helpful for you. Let me know if you listen and what your thoughts are, right? That is you providing value in a way that that person feels seen, they feel heard. They're like, gosh, that was really nice of her to think about me days later and remember our conversation. Like that happens so rarely in our society these days, especially in the networking world, that when it does, people are going to remember it and it's going to mean something to them. So that is the best way to start out your connections with your network. And then the last thing I want to say is make it as easy as possible for people to access you, for people to continue their connection with you, for people to refer clients to you, whatever it is that they want to do. Okay. And what I mean by making it easy for them is make sure that people are clear on what you do, who you help, and how you do it. People cannot refer people to you if they don't know what you do, who you do it for, how you solve problems. They also cannot be a good part of your network, a helpful part of your network, a supportive part of your network, which they want to be if they don't know how to do it. So it is okay for you to say, I would love for us to be the people who always comment and like each other's Facebook posts. Are you into that? Like that might be an okay thing to say after it's happened organically 2-3 times. Like, I'm really enjoying this. This is great, right? This is a great way for us to stay in touch with each other. It could also be, hey, I'm looking for podcast guests to talk about this topic. I know this is kind of in your realm. If you think of anybody, please send them my way. Right? Make it easy for them to stay in touch with you, for them to keep thinking about you, and for them to become whatever part of your network they are going to become. People are not mind readers. A lot of times we think that they are, and then we're frustrated when they don't know what we want from them, or they don't know what we want them to do, or how we want them to be a part of our network. It is okay to articulate it, even if you feel super awkward and you're like, hey, I'm kind of new at this business building relationship thing. But I'm liking having you in my network. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't want to be a salesy weirdo about it, but what do you think? Okay. Something like that is very authentic, and it leaves people the opportunity to say, like, yeah, I would love to be a part of your network. But it also doesn't have to be something that you have a conversation about. It doesn't have to be like, hey, so we've been dating for a couple months. Like, what are we? A lot of times, in fact, most of the time, it just happens organically. You meet these people, you provide value to them, they provide value to you. You stay in touch through social media or some other means. Maybe it's because you're in a networking group together, so you see them once or twice or 4 times a month. And it just kind of happens organically, and they find the slot in your network that they were always meant to fill. So don't push it too hard. Don't overthink it. Don't look at these people and think like, okay, what role can she fill in my network, right? This is not like, it's not like Trivial Pursuit where we're trying to like get a pie of each color. And then once we've got them, our pie is complete. We're always adding people to our network. We're always finding different roles to fill. So it's not as black and white as like, oh, I got my support person. Oh, I got the person who always likes my social media posts. Oh, I got the person who refers people to me. I still need one more. This is not like business relationship scavenger hunt. Okay, so this is a huge topic. I feel like I could go for hours and hours on even just like one little tiny part of this. But I wanted to give you just kind of a general overview about building a supportive business network, why it's important, and how to get started. I would love to hear any other questions that you have, any comments. If anything I've said wasn't clear, or you're like, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually do it? We're going to be talking about this topic. I mean, I kind of talk about this topic all the time, but specifically talking about this podcast episode over on my Instagram page, Powerful Women Rising. So if you're not already following me, follow me, join me over there. Comment on my post, send me a DM, let me know what questions and thoughts you have, and let's keep this conversation going. That is a great way for you to start building a supportive business network. In the comments with me, it's really easy. Okay, friends, have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Powerful Women Rising podcast. I hope that you are loving this content as much as I am loving making it. I struggle with podcasts because so often I'm like, I thought you were going to teach me something, and that was actually just a commercial. So I and my guests always aim to bring you actionable content that you can actually use to take your business to the next level. So if you love what you're hearing, please leave a review, follow, like, subscribe, share, do all the things, and then join me over on Instagram to continue the conversation. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Monday.